Hello and welcome back to episode 22 of All the Mods 8. Since last time I just kind of cleared out this area down the back. We had made a little space for bees here, but of course we don't need those now that we're making so much honey with these honey seeds. So there's a couple of things I want to do this episode. The first is I would like to try and make the thyme in a bottle. Now, this is a custom crafting recipe for this mod pack. It's usually a bit easier to craft than this, but this thing is real powerful. You can kind of store time in it and then use the bottle to speed up the ticks of the block so that it runs faster. But we've been kind of waiting for a few things. First of all, the start of mystical agriculture, because we need to make these speed 3 augments. And also we need, the honeycomb blocks, which of course we should be able to make now. So first of all, I'm going to see if we have enough essence for the 2 speed 3 augments. I made a start, I made a bunch of the prudentium essence, and then thinking we could make some tertium, and then yeah, I've got plenty. I think I'll only need 4 of that. So I'll need 8 Imperium, 8 Tertium, 8 Prudentium, and 8 Inferium. I will also need some sugar and a couple of these unattuned augments. So I'm pretty sure this is just as straightforward as augment 4 sugar, actually it looks like for the first tier we don't need Inferium, we need Prudentium, so skip sort of the first level. Now we'll try this, there we go. Yeah, as you can tell, it's all pretty straightforward at this point. Just chuck 4 sugar in, chuck the next tier of essence in, and go. So I'll probably speed this up a bit. And there we go. 2 speed 3 augments. So last thing we just need to make a speed upgrade. I think this is from the bees mod, but we should be able to make some honeycomb. Of course, we've got plenty of that. And then a few more of these. A few more clocks. And lastly, we just need to make an upgrade base, which is a honey treat, which we've got some of. I can't remember, it must have been a quest reward or something. And then just emeralds, diamonds, and sticks. Upgrade base. Upgrade speed. And there we go. Time in a bottle. This is going to make our lives way easier down the line. I think there's a quest for it too, with a decent quest reward. Quantum Entangler Porter. We've had one of those before. So I'll keep this in my inventory just to accumulate time. You can see it slowly ticking up there. So next thing that I'm keen to do is I'm keen to set back up our mob grinding system. So if you remember, we had the blaze spawner set up, and I think there was a spider spawner in there too. But I'm keen to sort of get it set up with a few more mobs and make it sort of a bigger thing. But I was thinking about a place to put it. And I'm actually thinking we should get into Ad Astra. So that's the space mod, this mod pack. I had a quick look at the instruction booklet. From the looks of it, you can make a space station kind of early on, like after you've launched your first rocket, kind of thing, depending on the materials that it needs. So I was thinking, let's try and make a space station, and then we could make our whole mob farm and everything, kind of in space, which I think would be pretty sweet. I've never played with this mod before. It's been in a few mod packs that I've been on, but I've kind of never just gotten around to it, really. So it'll be curious to see what this mod's all about, really. So I was having a look. Tier 1 rocket, we're going to need a NASA workbench. So it's just some steel plates, steel block of redstone, crafting table, redstone torch, lever, that kind of thing. Steel block will be interesting. I wonder what the best way to make steel is. Probably an induction smelter. See if we can whip one of these up. There we go, an induction smelter. And I'm actually thinking we might as well get this thing onto the auto crafting. It's been a while since we've done anything new with our applied energistics network. I realized that I never hooked up the inscriber at the bottom here. So I'm thinking I'll do that now. The other thing I wanted to check was our nether quartz situation and see if we actually got any from the quarries we were running. Oh yeah, there's a bit of a pile here. Before I mine these, I think it would probably be good to increase the level of fortune on our handy pickaxe here. So we're making sure we're getting the most out of all these ores. That is a lot of quartz. I'm going to keep a stack of it, just so we can make some more fluix. So now we should be able to make a pattern provider. I hope. Yep. And we've got some blank patterns in here. So the idea is, of course, that I'll have these kind of machines along the side here. I'm going to switch the pattern provider to just the plate, and I'll stick that on the bottom. The configuration of this will be insert on bottom, and we want it to not push crafting ingredients in if the inventory contains an input. So that'll mean, because these recipes have multiple ingredients, it'll mean that it won't sort of clog it up with multiple recipes. I'd like to get a flux point to give that thing a bit of power. Wonder if we can make some integral components just to speed this thing up as well. Nice. Now if I just hook this up for now like that, and we make some patterns. So the one we were wanting to make was steel. Induction smelter recipe, that's just coal and iron. Swap out the coke. Some coal. It's going to confirm that that's right. It's not. Here was I thinking that this was just regular coal, but I can see it's actually not. It's actually the coal coke, which is made in a pyrolyzer. Well, that's alright. I'll set up some recipes for this thing anyway, because of course it's still very useful. Iron and nickel, for example, goes into a Invar ingot, and then there's other thermal expansion ingots that we should be able to automate with this thing. Mainly looking for the ones that can make the upgrades, these integral components. So Invar and gold, that's fine. The next tier up, we need signalum and electrum. Electrum is definitely one we can put through the induction smelter. And I think signalum would be too. Yep. And then for that last tier, lumium and inderium. So lumium, tin silver glowstone, we can do that one, and inderium. Enderpearl, lead, and diamond dust, it looks like. I'll make the recipe. We just need to figure out a way to do diamond dust. So these are all recipes that can go in here. And now I'm pretty sure we will need something that will export from the induction smelter back into the system. So we will need an interface. And I'm surprised I haven't made a pattern for that. Interface. We'll just double check that we do need the interface. So I'll request some Invar. Say 10. Go down and have a look. Yeah, so it smelts it up, but it doesn't go anywhere. So I'll grab a interface. So I'll grab an interface that can connect to... Actually, just going to flip this machine around. Just because the front side we can't configure. So we might as well have that pushed up to any other machines. So the interface can go on that side and then out into the interface. I'll just connect that up with another glass cable. So now if we request something like Invar, once this is done and auto output is enabled, it should just push it back into the system. And we have some Invar. There we go. So while we're here, I'm actually going to also make the patterns for the integral components. there's the basic one, and of course for that we will need to know how to make gold gears. Everything else should be fine. Glass would be the only other one, but of course that needs sand. It's kind of a rabbit hole, so at the moment I'll just stick with these. So there is the mechanism steel, which we've made some before, and this one is made just in the infusing factory with just regular coal. So I'm thinking that might be the best bet at this point. I think I'm just going to use the infusing factory to make a bunch of steel. And then we'll kind of just leave it at that. Need some more regular iron. Need to smelt all this iron. Gotta love how fast this smelter is. Okay, 3 stacks of iron. 6 stacks of coal. Come down to the basic infusing factory. Chuck all the coal in. And all 3 stacks of iron. This thing is going rather slowly. Might try out our time in a bottle, which now has 27 minutes on it. So I can set that to ×2, and it'll run twice as fast for a little while. Try 4. We're really just wanting to see what the power situation can handle. 16. 32. Not bad, not bad. Yeah, we've still got a bit of time left in here. Yeah, power's definitely not keeping up with that one. That's alright. Still getting the job done. And you can see we still have 11 minutes on our time in a bottle, so that took, 15 minutes out of it, roughly. I'll start getting some of the steel smelted. That's a pile of steel. So yeah, not quite the way we planned to get it with no auto crafting setup, but we'll get there eventually. So NASA workbench, where were we? I need a steel block. I need 2 steel plates. Might make one of these hammers just so that we can do the cheaper recipe. And then we just need a crafting table. There we go. NASA workbench. And then for the actual rocket, we do need, wow, a lot of steel. I wonder if we have enough for 6 blocks. We do. Nice. 6 blocks of steel. We need a nose cone, which is 4 plates, and a lightning rod. We need 4 of these rocket fins, which just means 6 steel plates. We need 2 steel tanks. And lastly, we need a steel engine. Now this all up needs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steel plates. And those are turned into a engine fan and an engine frame. And then one more steel plate, I think. And there's everything we need for the rocket. So in terms of where we're going to do this, I was thinking it would be quite cool to use one of the pools up here. So you see I've got these two pools. I reckon it would be pretty cool to have our rocket come out of one of them. And then up here I'll have a little sort of space base kind of thing. Yeah? So for now, I'll put the workbench up here. I'll make the rocket. Oh, gotta do it all manually. Where's the shift click? Come on. And there we go. Humble beginnings. We made a rocket. It's pretty big. Now, I like the textures and stuff. They look really cool. So we're gonna need 3 buckets of fuel. So that means making a fuel refinery. Shouldn't be too hard. Let's see if I can make a pump as well. Shouldn't be too bad. Alright, and this, of course, we just need to give power and it'll pump up some oil for us. So it turns out that these piles of oil that I've thought have been quite big are actually pretty small. They've only got a couple buckets in each sort of tower and then just these little bits around. So instead of getting the whole pump and setting it up, I've just been using a ender bucket and just picking up all the sort of source blocks that I could. And of course, this is connected to an ender tank back at the base. Yeah, it's way more efficient than setting up a pump to only pump the 2 blocks that are in the middle. So with our fuel and our rocket, next thing we need to make is a spacesuit. So I've saved all the items here. It's pretty much just steel, some sort of oxygen gear, which is pretty much just more steel and iron, a little bit of wool. We should be able to make most of it, I think. Specifically need an orange stained glass pane. There's the helmet, the pants, and the boots. And then for the spacesuit itself, we need a couple oxygen tanks and some oxygen gear. So that's 5, 10, that's 14 steel plates. For 2 oxygen tanks. There's the second oxygen tank. And then the oxygen gear. And then we should be able to make the spacesuit. There we go. And so, of course, to fill the spacesuit up with oxygen, we need to make an oxygen loader. And again, I think it's just more steel. So it's 10, 14, 15 steel plates. There you go, I can make 16. 2 more oxygen tanks, engine fan, lightning rod, oxygen loader. And so the oxygen loader converts water into oxygen, and then that can be transferred into a tank or a spacesuit. Put this up here for now, that gets powered, and then I think we just need to put water in it. Which means I'll grab the sink. And a pipe. And we're just gonna pump it in. Like that, filling up with water and slowly converting into oxygen. And then I imagine I can just put the spacesuit straight in here and it will just fill it up with oxygen. And then I guess I should probably make a backup oxygen tank. As like a just in case kind of thing. I'll fill that up. And then I also need to make the launch pad, which is iron plates and steel plates. I might as well make some more oxygen tanks just because we have the oxygen and we have the steel. And I don't want to run out of oxygen. So that's 3 full oxygen tanks. Got our launch pad, which is pretty big. And I can place the rocket on it. I can access the inventory of the rocket, where I can insert some fuel. And then it also has some other slots, which I'm not sure what they're for. Maybe I need to make another launch pad for when we get to the other end. I see the rocket has an inventory, I guess that's where we can store some stuff. I'll put one of the oxygen tanks in there as well for backup. So really, all there is now is just to go to space, I guess. Unfortunately, we've run out of time for that this episode. But next episode, that'll be pretty much the plan. We'll just head up into space. So thanks for watching, especially if you made it this far. And like and subscribe if you want. And I'll see you in the next episode. Can't believe we're going to space next episode. Make sure you hit that bell notification button so that you can watch the space episode. You know?